And you mentioned at the beginning some of the music videos you've done. If someone has not seen any of the music videos, is there one you want them starting with, or two?
The new one of Depeche Mode that comes out in February.
Oh, so you've already shot this?
Yeah.
For which song?
It's called Ghost Again.
Nerd World.
It is My Nerd World, Depeche Mode, the podcast. I'm your host, Jon Justice, here for a special, brief episode. I'm excited about Ghosts Again this Friday. And I've been thinking a lot about the podcast over the course of the past few days and how I want to handle the show as we are on the cusp of new music from the greatest band on the planet. At least in my opinion, and probably your opinion as well. So, I wanted to put out a show today to talk about that very thing. I got a little bit of news to share with you. You heard a clip there just a moment ago. I'll get back to it here in a second from Anton Corbin. Plus, the NME has put up an article I wanted to share with you some details from as well. But I'm excited for what's to come this Friday and once again heading out on this journey that you go on and that I go on when Depeche Mode releases new music and decides to go on tour. I want to be able to take advantage of this moment and relish every moment with this band that has meant so much to me and to you. For me, going back to 1985 and 1986. So, again, tell you a little bit about the future of the podcast, how I want you to be a part of it, and basically look at the upcoming year and probably 2 years as Depeche Mode heads out to promote Memento Mori. So before I get to this NME article, let's get to what I played at the start of this episode. So Anton Corbin, of course, the art director, doing that thing with my fingers for the band for many, many decades now, sat down for an interview with Collider, talking about a lot of things as it relates to his career, Anton Corbin's career. But at one point in the interview, they asked him what you just heard. If you were going to point anybody to a video or a piece of your work, what would it be? So here is that exchange again between Anton Corbin and Collider.
And you mentioned at the beginning some of the music videos you've done. If someone has not seen any of the music videos, is there one you want them starting with, or two?
The new one of Depeche Mode that comes out in February.
Oh, so you've already shot this?
Yeah.
For which song?
It's called Ghost Again.
So my understanding is this is the first confirmation that we've actually have of the song being titled Ghosts Again. It was assumed that, I know Martin Gore and Dave had both mentioned, that was the working title, but this is confirmation from Anton Corbin himself, who is also confirming that he's directing the video, which I'm excited about, that it is indeed called Ghosts Again. Now, it remains to be seen whether or not we actually get the music video on Friday with the release of the song. My guess is they'll probably wait. Typically, with new music releases, we get a lyric video first, and then further down the line, a week or so, we end up getting the full video. But that remains to be seen on Friday. Let me share with you some pieces from this NME article. Depeche Mode hint at imminent new music with cryptic countdown. Now, this is written by Ellie Robinson at NME. Depeche Mode have begun teasing the imminent release of new music, likely the first single from their upcoming 15th album, Memento Mori, with a cryptic countdown published on their website, as we talked about on this show earlier in the weekend. plugged with a post on their official Instagram account, which at the time of writing is the only post they have live on the page. The ominous countdown started at 7 days and is ticking down second by second until 10 p.m. BST next to Saturday, February 4th. So, reads a caption shared with the Instagram post, "Time is fleeting, see what it brings." And I think the assumption is these are further lyrics from Ghosts Again. Clicking through the band's website, the actual countdown is accompanied by a form asking for fans to fill out their name and residential address. If you do, you'll be met with a message saying thank you for signing up, as well as links to pre-save music on streaming platforms. Depeche Mode themselves have not yet confirmed whether this will be a single, Memento Mori itself, or something else entirely. Which, I mean, again, and this is the assumption that we are going to be getting the single on Friday, but it's possible that we get more than that. Most likely, though, it's just going to be Ghosts Again, based off of the fact that in that video post on Instagram, you hear the very music that I played at the start of the show, just a snippet of. I heard some people complaining, and it's typical. I mean, not typical Depeche Mode fans, as I've talked about on the show. The one thing that I love about being a Depeche Mode fan is that, for the most part, we're very kind to one another, which is much different than what happens in, say, like the Star Wars fandom, of which I do another podcast. But some people have been complaining about the tinniness of the drums in the snippet that was shared in the Instagram post. When you hear the actual clip, though, and I'll play it here again, when it kicks in, it gets pretty beefy, at least in my opinion. Trust me, I like the bolder sounds, the hard-hitting keyboard, something more akin to a violator, but you can hear it here. I mean, there's a solid beat going on in the background, and this is bad quality as it stands. All right, getting back to the Enemy article. The aforementioned album is due out March 17th via Columbia and Mute. It will be the band's first album in 6 years following 2017's Spirit, as well as the first release, of course, since the passing of a founding member, Andrew Fletcher, who died last May at the age of 60. Memento Mori was announced last October alongside the details of the Sprawling World Tour. Its title makes a direct reference to the loss of Fletcher. A memento mori is an object kept as a reminder of the inevitability of death, such as a skull. However, according to the songwriter, guitarist, and keyboardist Martin Gore, it was chosen before his late bandmate's passing. And they quote Martin saying, "It sounds very morbid, but I think you can look at it very positively as well," Gore said in a statement, "in that you should live each day to the max. I think that's how we like to interpret it too. After Fletcher's passing, we decided to continue as we were sure this would be what he would have wanted. And that has really given the project an extra level of meaning." Upon the announcement of the album, frontman Dave Gahan opened up in an interview with the Enemy, revealing that he was initially hesitant about making a 15th Depeche Mode record. "It wasn't something I dived into, I've got to say. At first, I put up quite a bit of resistance, I would say. I don't know if I still want to do this. All of the usual kind of stuff, but there was a bit more of that than usual." Elsewhere in the chat, Gahan noted that although work on Memento Mori started before Fletcher's death, the latter did not record any material for it. He explained he never got to hear any of it, which is really sad to me because there are songs on this record that I know he'd liked. This is the best thing we've had in years. I can hear his voice. I can also hear him saying, "Does every song have to be about death?" Despite its morose themes, Gahan assured us that Memento Mori is ultimately rooted in positivity, being an escape for him and Gore. "The one thing I can do is make music with Martin," he said. "Then we can go do our thing, and hopefully that brings people together. It's just all too much in the world and the news right now. You have to find a place for yourself somehow. This is what it is for us right now, making another record, and we're going to go out and perform these stages. On these stages, sorry." Now, much of that was information that we've heard before on the show, but it's always nice to see Depeche Mode getting some media, so I wanted to share that with you. All right, so let me shift gears just briefly and talk a bit about the future of this podcast. So yesterday, I went and pulled out the tour programs for almost all the tours that I've been on. I do not have a tour program for the Music for the Masses tour, and I was at the Rose Bowl show, Concert for the Masses, nor do I have tour programs for Playing the Angel or Sounds of the Universe. I'm going to try to go and track those down. But I have tour programs for every other tour because I've seen the band 33 times live, starting with the tour for Music for the Masses. I actually pulled out, I have a printout of all the dates and the details for all the shows that I've been to, and I actually have a photo album that has, back when you still had physical tickets, I have almost all the ticket stubs for all the different shows. So I pulled out these tour programs, and I was flipping through them last night while enjoying a rather large glass of spiced rum and watching the One Night in Paris DVD. And as I'm going through the tour program, it's funny because the programs, not all of them, but most of the tours, they came in like a cardboard sleeve. So I was pulling the sleeves out. I had forgotten that my Exciter tour program from when my wife and I first got married and we saw them up in the San Francisco area of California had actually been autographed by, and I think it's Fletcher. I need to go and check it out. I have a poster from that tour that's signed by all three members of the band, but I forgot which signature is on the tour program. Also, it was funny, too, because I found some flyers from the area that were just in pristine condition promoting in the tour program for the Exotic tour. We saw them at the same location where we saw the Exciter tour in Concord. And it was a flyer for the Exotic tour, just a local one that had been handed out that I happened to keep. So all these memories were rushing back in from all these tours as I was enjoying my large glass of wine and watching the One Night in Paris DVD, as I mentioned. And I was thinking about this show. I was thinking about the loss of my friend Drew that I've talked about a lot on the show. And just going back and trying to recall all of the different unique stories that revolve around this band. Whether it's listening to the music, whether it's purchasing the music, whether it's going to the concerts and purchasing the concert tickets, all these different little milestones in my life that Depeche Mode has been attached to. My first open heart surgery, getting some of the leaked demos from Sounds of the Universe and listening to them in the hospital, Comeback and Fragile Tension. Actually listening to Wrong for the first time, much in the same way that we will all listen to Ghosts again on Friday, being in the hospital. So, I mean, that's just a sample of all these different stories that I have in my head. So what I'm going to do is, moving forward, and I would like you to be a part of this as well, I really want to take advantage of the fact that we're going to be entering into this Depeche Mode phase. And like I mentioned, we have the single coming out in a video. We have a new album coming out, probably more singles. We have a tour taking place. And this may be the last time that, even though we're all separated, but this may be the last time that we can share in this experience together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a commitment, because the show has been kind of off and on a weekly basis, and I took months and months off before. I'm going to make a commitment to have a new Depeche Mode, the podcast show from my nerd world every single week. In it, I will do as I always do. Any news that comes out, my thoughts and comments on new music, sharing of articles that are released about the band, tour information. But a part of this as well is I want to tell stories. I want to tell the stories of how, of all these experiences in my life that I've had where Depeche Mode was somehow involved. So every week, as I present the news of the week, and as I mentioned, rumors and anything else new that I can share about the band, I'll also share a story once a week of how Depeche Mode has impacted me in my life in hundreds of different ways. And I'm going to do this every single week as we move through the next few years here. But I also want to hear from you. I want to hear your stories. Share your single stories. Email me, talkshownerd@gmail.com. And next week, or this coming week, we'll talk about the release of Ghosts Again when the song comes out on Friday. I guess it was Saturday, but they're based off NME time. But it'll be Friday, my time here in Minneapolis. I'll certainly share my thoughts on that. And I'm just going to start off with the first time that I discovered Depeche Mode. I've told an abbreviated version of this story, but I'm going to start off with that this coming week and basically just move through the timeline and as many stories as I can remember. And I want to share yours as well. So email me your particular stories. You don't have to share all of them. Just, if you have one that sticks out in your mind, email me, talkshownerd@gmail.com, and we can enjoy this shared experience, which may be the last time that we have the opportunity to do this. Last thing I want to mention, too, is I want to be able to include actual Depeche Mode music in the podcast. The only reason why I don't is because YouTube typically flags me and makes me go and take the video down. So if you're watching this, listening to it on YouTube, please go and subscribe to whatever podcast platform you use, whether it's iTunes, whether it's Spotify, whether it's the iHeartRadio app. It's available on almost every single podcast platform that's out there. And I produce this through Spreaker. Please, if you are watching on YouTube or listening on YouTube, go and subscribe to the podcast. And if you're listening to this through your podcast platform, subscribe to it so you don't miss an episode. Because I will not be posting these up to YouTube anymore because I want to be able to actually include the music of the band in the podcast. And I can do that as long as I do not post it to YouTube. I'm excited. And I want to go on this journey with you. And I want to hear your stories. I'm inspired by the 101 film. I'm inspired by Spirits in the Forest and what Anton Corbin did in telling the stories of those individuals. So I want to hear your stories as well as I share my stories throughout the decades of living with this band and how much it's impacted me. So I look forward to hearing from you. Anything that happens between now and Friday, I'll be sure to post a show. However, there will be a brand new episode coming up this coming Friday, and I cannot wait to hear Ghosts Again. And again, I can't wait to hear from you. TalkShowNerd@gmail.com. We'll talk to you again really soon. I hope wherever you are happy, you are healthy, and you are safe. Have yourself a fantastic week. I know that I'm going to. Almost exclusively listening to Depeche Mode all week long. Talk to you in a few days. Bye.
My Nerd World.